Oh, okay. So I wanted to make a video about my first 4-ish months as a SMMA agency owner. If you don't know what SMMA is, it's social media marketing agency. For those of you who clicked, you probably already know what that means. But I wanted to kind of give my honest review. Not kind of, I just want to give my honest review about what it is, where I'm at, where I want to go, what I'm doing well, what I'm not doing well, the experience has just been like in general. And yeah, so I wrote down like some bullet points to go over, just so that way we can actually have like a video to talk about. So the first thing I would say is that I started agency because I wanted to put myself in the practice of being an entrepreneur. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but one of the things that I always stopped myself from doing was just actually implementing or following through with that. One of the things that we do a lot, and I do a lot, is analysis paralysis. You like just research, or have the idea that you want to do something and you never take the action and do it. Whether it be content creation, whether it be business, whether it be a craft that you like doing. A lot of us like to research and try to perfect it rather than kind of just starting with what you have and learn, and then going as you go, or just learning as you go for the most part. So I wanted to do social media marketing agency, and for the people in the space, they already understand that it's oversaturated, but pretty much everything is oversaturated. Like AI is now oversaturated and it's fairly new. You know what I'm saying? Everything is AI. So I think that notion of feeling like, oh, yes, there's going to be like, you can have the conversation about certain things being not as practical anymore because something can be automated, but your agency can be the automation towards it. So that's why I don't think this space is really dead. I think, yes, there's other things that can be better, of course, but if you think about any field, whether it be dentistry, being a software engineer, et cetera, people can always just say it's oversaturated because there's more competition now. That's all it really is, but it doesn't mean that you still can't get in where you fit it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I started that just because I want to be an entrepreneur. It's the thing that I'm most familiar with. It's the thing that I have the most knowledge on right now. And I figured rather than just sitting still, I might as well just start. So what I've done so far when I first started, like within the first 2 months, I was talking verbally to people, but I kind of like hyped up the fact that I'm, like anybody does, I hyped up the fact that I'm doing agency to like my social media and stuff like that rather than just going like, but I think it's helped because it's forced me to be more committed to it. But I would say one of the things that I've done is what pretty much everyone does, is just you consume more information than you probably should. Not to say that you shouldn't jump into the pool without knowing how to swim. It's just you don't need to know every type of stroke while swimming, honestly. Like if you know how to freestyle, it's pretty much it. You know what I mean? You can learn the rest as you go. You just need to make sure that you're comfortable being in the water. That's the best like analogy that I'm starting to understand for doing anything. So I've learned a lot. There's so much to learn that I haven't learned. And by learning and just being in the field of it, I'm also understanding how much I don't understand, which is fine. Like that's the whole process of it, right? I'm in my early 20s trying to make something happen. And a lot of times for some people it happens year 2, 3, 4, whatever. And some people it happens much later. I think you'll never know that unless you try. So that's one thing that I'm just thinking about. The next point is that I've done some things well and I've done some things not so well. And I just kind of want to talk about what that is. So one of the things that I've done well is by the end of last year, around December, I was able to book 2 clients. And it was scary because in the fall, I was still in college. So I started my business in college, like my last semester. And there's nothing more nerve-wracking than trying to have an internship, a work study, run a business, go to classes, like work out, be healthy, all at once, bro. It's chaotic, but I work in chaos. I don't know. It's just how it is. But that was one of those things where I thought about just how effective was I being, and that's probably why I was consuming so much. But I had these touch points with people in person and talking to them that allowed me the ability to promote myself. Like I can confidently promote myself in person. One of the things that I didn't do that most agency people would talk about is like running ads and stuff like that. And I'm going to get to something else that most agency owners do when they start that I didn't really do so well in. But I think committing to the idea that I run a business, I own, I'm working in a business, an online business, is something I'm doing well at. Like I commit to it. I can't say that I don't do it. It's something that I'm posting a video about me doing it. So, I'm reaffirming that in my head. So yeah, I would say that. But me booking those 2 clients came from confidence and patience because throughout that school year, it's like things worked out. I was trying my hardest to book them and get on these calls and, close them. And it would kind of constantly need to be a little bit of follow up. But after a few calls, it happened. And then towards the end, finally went through. And I remember seeing the money come in to the account. And I was like, whoa, this is crazy. It was like the craziest high ever, like ever. And it's just because I was doing something that I've always wanted to do. So to see that happening for me, like that was crazy. But it wears off and you have to continuously do more, which I'm at that point now where I'm like, I've only booked 2 clients. I can be openly honest with that and say I've only booked 2 clients. I'm working on a case study right now. So I don't think I'm doing terrible. Most people have this expectation that you need to be doing 10,000 like dollars within your first month of, what I mean? Like people have that crazy expectation, but like, dude, I'm just learning. Like if I had sat and prepped for so long and then eventually dived in, maybe I would understand everything that I should be doing. But I feel like the fact that I'm just have made some money off of it, not super impressed. Like it's not like life changing. Like, I'm like, you know what? I never need to work again. No, it's just making things happen and putting things in position. So there's that. I would say the next thing I'm pretty good at is just being vocal, like on my Instagram, my LinkedIn, et cetera, et cetera. I've made it so that people know that I run a business. There's a blessing and a curse of that because the blessing is that people are aware that I do something business related. The curse of it would be that people can judge. They can have opinions, that's always going to happen. People are going to have opinions no matter what. But like, I think if you're somebody that gets in your head, that can be nerve-wracking because it makes you always think that people have something to say, or either one rooting against you, or if one you're not making as much progress as you would like to, you think that people are thinking, oh, like they don't know what they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like at the end of the day, if everyone could play on the court, they would. So not everyone can play on the court. There's a reason why there's a lot more audience stands seats than there are like player jerseys. Like people don't always play on the court, and nor do they want to, because that's a lot of people staring at them. So I just look at it like that. Like I'm trying, I'm going to mess up, I'm not going to make every shot. That's fine. But when the shots do go in, people will cheer. And that's what you're signing up for as an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? So I'd say that's the next thing. What I could be working on that I'm not doing so well on is outreach. I should be doing way more outreach, and I'm just going to be honest with myself about that, because if I were doing more outreach, I'd probably be getting more results, and there's nothing holding me back but me. The scariest thing, I think, that especially when you don't have capital, initial giant capital as an agency owner, is getting people to book appointments with you, and that happens from cold outreach or cold calling. And cold calling is scary because you're literally just gonna be asking to face rejection on repeat. 10-minute timer went off, so I'm gonna try to make this short. Excuse me. But you're going to be facing rejection. Like nobody willingly wants to be like, I want to get rejected over and over and over again. It's not a good feeling. Nobody wants to sit there and get rejected over and over again. But the best thing that will build a callus and a muscle for doing the thing that you want to do well is doing it over and over again. You can't get comfortable with, something that's uncomfortable by not doing it. That just doesn't work. You can't just sit there and be like, I'm going to be comfortable with this. And then one day it's just going to change. I realized that I need to do more of that, so I'm going to practice that. It's actually on one of my to-do lists today, where I'm literally just gonna like cold call and try to sell my service, which is scary, but it needs to be done in order for me to realize it's not that big of a deal. Something I used to do in my videos when I used to post like public interviews and stuff like that is I used to just walk up to people and say, hey, do you want to be in this interview? And people would always be like, no, 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 no. And the same principle of that, of like me being okay with people saying no and just moving on to the next person, is the same mentality that it's a muscle. Like, you clearly need to use it, otherwise it gets weaker. And that's where I'm at right now. Like, I haven't used that muscle of like, no, 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 no in a while. So I'm like, you know what I mean? A little nervous, but it's all good, bro. It's all good. Don't worry about it. I would say the other thing that I'm not doing so well in is just, I don't know, like always making sure that something action oriented towards the business, because it's hard to feel like you're doing what you need to do every time, especially when you don't know what you're supposed to be doing all the time. So I feel like just getting a strategic roadmap of what it is that I always need to be doing, or like always, which is like cold calling is probably the biggest thing to start off, because that without cold calling you can't book appointments, without booked appointments you can't do fulfillment, and without, you know what I mean, like there's no service delivered, there's none of that. So that's like the main key ingredient, and that's probably why most agency owners fail, because that threshold, it's like literally missing every shot that you don't take. So of course, if you play a game and you don't ever take a shot, your scores are going to be terrible. Like that's just what I'm realizing. That's just what it is. So yeah, to end this off, because I'm yapping too much, I would say that I'm going to keep trying regardless of knowing what I don't know. Like, I know that I don't know a lot. I know there's a lot to learn. I know that I lack a lot of information in areas, but I think the fact that I'm putting myself out there and trying is what matters more, because now I have to upkeep that and make sure that I'm doing and putting myself out there. The biggest thing that I'm coming to terms with is that I'm gonna go look for a mentor. Like, I'm gonna do the best I can by myself, but when I can get to a point where I get a mentor, I'm going to get a mentor, because I could flip flop for years not knowing what I'm doing, and eventually maybe something clicks, or I could go to somebody who has done what I want to do and gives me the proper systems, because I think of it as like being in the gym. If you're in the gym and working out, but you're not doing the proper mechanics or the proper form, you're either one, never going to get any gains, two, going to injure yourself. So I look at it as like, I would much rather pay somebody who knows what it is that I want, give me the systems, because once I know the systems, I just know it's reps. And if it's just reps at that point, then that means that I am the problem if things are not improving. So yeah, that's what I've learned so far. I don't know how much more, I don't know, maybe I'll make another video like this soon, but I just wanted to post this for myself and anybody who's watching, and just openly be transparent and boost the confidence, because at the end of the day, the only person that can really judge you and that it matters is you, God, and the universe. So yeah, that's it. All right, bye.